I've been, like, thinking all week. Like, how do I feel about a dragon in the show? I don't know if I like it or not. I can't tell. I'm not sure if it's, like, if it's too silly, if it's too much.
Hey YouTube, welcome back to our channel. My name is Elena.
And I'm Björn.
And we're Viking Age reenactors and living historians here to talk with you about your favorite Viking shows.
Now begins the time where I start to drag my feet in production because I don't want to stop watching Norsemen, and we have only 2 episodes left.
I know.
Yeah.
But I do think we're about to see some fighting.
Yeah, finally.
So.
Like, we haven't really seen any, like, big combat or anything yet.
Yeah.
Which is kind of surprising.
Yeah.
We got 2 episodes. We'll see.
We'll see.
See what happens. They can get through stuff pretty quickly. But anyways, without further ado, Season 3.
Yep.
Episode 5.
You're gonna lead the senior battalion in the battle.
A couple of things that I saw that I really liked in that scene. It was the backpack that Orm was wearing.
Yes.
Was a pretty historically accurate backpack,
Yes.
and I was really excited to actually see that.
As far as I couldn't really get like a great sense of it because it was just like a quick shot of his back and then it just showed him with the straps.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping we can see a little bit more detail in it as we go forward. But yeah, it was great.
But I did see that it was that woven, like, kind of like straight backpack that you would wear.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like the wicker kind of one that we think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know if it had like did you see like any like the wooden tops or bottoms or anything?
There was a wooden top. I didn't see the bottom.
Well, I can assume at the very least, but
Yeah.
that's cool. It's based on a grave find from Gokstad where they actually found the remnants of just the top and bottom of what we believe was like some kind of backpack or some kind of chest. And it had these holes drilled into it, so we know that there was something that kind of connected the two of them. It might have been leather, it might have been wicker or something, not entirely sure. But the top even has kind of like carved horse as well, which is really pretty. But a lot of reenactors will use that as a basis for creating some kind of pack they can actually like cart their stuff around in.
Yeah,
We have a couple in our group.
Yeah, we do. And it actually helped make one of the first ones.
Yeah, I remember that. I got
That's
pictures
really
of it.
Orm is the least experienced of all the warriors in Nordheim. And who better to lead us to certain death than Orm? Orm is our ticket to Valhalla. To Orm!
I'm sure that most of our viewers know that in order to go to Valhalla, you have to die in battle.
Yes.
So this scene makes such perfect sense.
Yeah.
They're like, we are so close to death already. Let us die in battle by following this idiot. It's either that or at the stoop.
At the stoop. Oh man, maybe some of those guys are the ones left over at the stoop. But yeah, so quickly on the point of this whole thing though is that we know that Viking warriors sought a death in battle, because it was the only way to go to Valhalla. So it was important for a warrior to die in battle. And one thing that a lot of like kings or jarls and warriors feared was what they called a straw death. It was to die in bed, essentially, because there wasn't much honor in that. So they would go out seeking battles. They would go out seeking Orm, basically. I was reading this one article that was talking about how Valhalla might have been basically like a consolidation prize, essentially, because we do have instances in Sweden and Norway and Denmark of these kind of like family burials or like these very rich, extravagant funerals. And when you're out and you fight in battle and you die in a foreign land, you don't have the ability to get buried with your family. You don't have the ability to get brought back onto your property or anything. And so Valhalla was basically kind of this way to say you're not going to spend the afterlife with your family. You're not going to spend afterlife with your ancestors, but you get to go to Valhalla.
Right.
So it was almost like that sucks, but it's also pretty great. It's another one of those situations where we feel like we know so much about it, but we still really don't. Like, we know it was an afterlife, but we don't really know to what extent people like looked forward to it for, or whether or not it was the most common or sought after afterlife. Like nowadays, in all the modern stuff that we see and associate with Vikings, we basically use it as another word for heaven. It's Valhalla and Helheim. It's heaven and hell, but that's not the case necessarily. It's more complex than that.
There was more to that.
Yeah. And I mean, even dying in battle, you weren't guaranteed to go to Valhalla. You could have gone to Freya's Hall. Because she gets the first chosen. She gets half of the warriors who are taken from battle. and she gets first pick, which is also interesting in of itself, and I could go on a whole spiel about that.
Yeah. And it's also interesting that you bring it up because it also brings up the whole notion of, yes, the warriors would die in battle and would go to Valhalla or to Freya, whereas on the opposite end of the spectrum you have the straw death, but what happens to, like, say, the wives and children that die? Like, obviously they're not going to be condemned to Helheim because they didn't go fight.
Yeah, exactly.
So there has to be more to it.
Take this.
The sea giveth, and the sea taketh
it
away.
I'm just going to call this right now. They're going to invade England, and the last scene of that will be them sailing off to return home with the slave that we saw in the first episode of season 1.
Could be. Maybe not, though, because Orm wasn't there. Remember, because Orm was...
Yeah, they're going to have to lose him at some point.
Yeah, because Orm was left in charge of
Yeah,
the
well,
place
we
and,
have...
like,
we
ruined
have,
it.
yeah, we have 2 battles coming up, I feel like, because they have to fight Earlburn first. But then, like we did see in the trailer, that they're going to be landing on a beach somewhere near a monastery.
Yeah.
I'm gonna burn you all! Mother!
You have to speak up!
He wants to speak.
So stupid.
How about dragons? Are dragons possible?
Kind of forgot about the dragon.
Yeah?
A little bit.
You can't stress the dragon, you know? It needs to get ready at its own pace.
Dragons are fake.
Dinosaurs existed.
Dinosaurs existed.
But way before the Vikings.
I mean, that's what I think. I think people, like, dug up old dinosaur bones and were like, what is this?
Yeah.
This has to be
Yeah.
a dragon.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Like
sure
seeing-
that's how it happened.
Seeing the skulls and bones. Like, I think the same thing can happen with giants. Like, people dug up, like, femurs of, like, the old dinosaurs and were like, what?
Are you kidding me?
Why is he German? Well, so, like, Varg means wolf, but it's, like, an old German word for wolf. And then, like, his commands are all in German. Like, raus is German. Nein! German. But yeah, it's just kind of, like, interesting to see that, like, they made him such, like, a Germanic figure rather than, like, a Nordic, kind of Scandinavian.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that.
It's interesting.
Before you just pointed it out.
Maybe it's just another way to, like, make fun of Germans for being the evil guy, always. Sorry, Germany. Like, maybe he's supposed to be, like, Danish? Because, like, the Danes are
Maybe?
real close to Germany?
Perhaps.
I don't know.
It just turned and left. Oh my god.
What just happened?
Okay, maybe it'll come back?
Nope, I don't think so. I've been, like, thinking all week. Like, how do I feel about a dragon in the show? I don't know if I like it or not. I can't tell. I'm not sure if it's, like, if it's too silly, if it's too much.
They kept the historical accuracy. The Vikings never came in contact with the dragon.
We can't prove that. Listen, they had their ships carved to look like what we think a dragon might look like. We have no way of knowing that they didn't. I guess, like, it's a non-issue, and, like, that's all, I suppose, but, like...
Come up behind Björn's troops, like a sneaking maneuver.
You mean the flanking maneuver? Senior battalion, you go with Orm.
It's such a tiny axe. Oh my
No,
god.
it's literally a hatchet.
It's so cute.
But also, no, that's really great. Like, I'm sure he's just gonna run away. And,
Yeah.
like, be a coward and hide, and they're all gonna be mad at him. But that's, like, a legitimate thing that we know from the sagas. As part of, like, some of their strategies. Like, they'd actually, like, lay ambushes and, like, send, like, sections or battalions or whatever you want to call it, like, off into the woods to, like, lay in wait. And then once the enemy came and stormed up, they'd, like, emerge and then pincer them and cut them off and wipe them out utterly.
Yeah,
It was
basically.
awesome. They'd also, like, hug the tree line as well to prevent the enemy from, like, being able to circumnavigate and get around them. So so that they'd use those like woods as like a backdrop cover to keep people from getting around them and cutting them off. So
yeah, and that was like the advantage of knowing the land that you were fighting on.
Absolutely.
So that you knew exactly where you were going in for.
yeah, like the main thing is to do it before you're facing the enemy, so they don't just see like, oh yeah, those guys are all just going that way. So that's obvious. Like, you want to do that beforehand. And like really quickly, you know, when we saw the battle kind of starting to move in and clash, like some dude further back behind Bjorn was carrying like a big banner with like a bear paw on it. So we do have a term for a standard bearer, which is a merkismother.
Yeah.
Which is like a bannerman essentially. But yeah, so typically the banner or the standard bearer would stand with the king. And if the banner fell, somebody else would be elected to pull it up, you know, to become the merkismother and hold the banner up. And it was, again, a morale thing and to show where the king was on the battlefield as well. So typically the banner did follow the king. I may be a little bit off, but I believe in Anglo-Saxon culture, the king's men, the huskarl, were sworn to battle with the king in a sense where they would not leave the battlefield if the king was still there. Mm-hmm. And that continued after the king died. Because technically, even though he died, he's still there on the battlefield.
He was still on the battle, yeah.
So they had to stay there until the battle was over, until they could get him away.
Right.
And that's actually what led to the fall of Harold Godwinson's men. So Harold Godwinson in 1066 fought against Harold Hardrada and killed them in the north by Stamford Bridge. But then immediately afterwards, like 14 days later, 12 days later or something, he had to repel William the Bastard, mm-hmm. who became William the Conqueror, in the south. So he then marched his entire army all the way south right after a battle and had another one. Harold Godwinson fell and died in battle by an arrow to the throat, and his huskarl, his sworn men, had to stay on the battlefield and protect his corpse, and they died to a man because of it.
Right.
So it's just screwed, you know? I'm not sure if the Vikings had the same thing. I don't believe they did. I mean, they were obviously sworn to their chieftains, to the Jarls, but I don't believe it went to the extent that they had to stay on the battlefield up until the very end, because we have plenty of examples where, you know, certain chieftains or certain important kind of like regional leaders and stuff would flee and would run. Mm-hmm. And that's just the case of it. But
if Odin had been so interested in having you at his table, you would have been there by now.
But it was your job to lead us into battle.
Yes, and then Odin intervened, because that's what Odin does.
technically,
he's not wrong.
technically, like fate, you know, like,
Yeah.
hey,
If it's not your day, it's not your day.
it's just like, it's such a way to like shirk responsibility for your own actions. I'm curious if they're going to come back and be like, wow, you guys don't even look like you were touched in battle. That's amazing. It's so impressive. Wow, well done.
How do you know you're killing people from our side? It's not like we have the same uniforms.
I don't know, I recognize our guys.
Who would do such a thing?
I don't know.
Look at that. Look.
I mean, that does bring up a very good point. How
Yeah.
do you know who is who?
Yeah, like with people ask me that when I do lectures and stuff, like when I go back to my college to do discussions and like teach, people are like, how do they recognize him? And it's like, with difficulty. I don't know. Like, it was hard, you know. First off, the older guy who was standing there with the sword was a later period.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Yeah, first off and foremost. But yeah, I mean, like, we don't have any, like, literary evidence necessarily to say that they had specific, like, banners or colors or any way to really tell the difference between them. We might think that they might have a little bit of a banner or, like, a way to paint their shields or something, maybe. But
yeah, I was going to say maybe, like, shield colors or something like that. But even here, most of the people didn't have shields, which was actually, like, a little bit surprising to me. Like,
yeah.
We finally see a big battle, because I don't think we've seen a large battle in Norsemen up until now.
Large scale, no, nothing like this.
So it's kind of, like, surprising to me that they didn't, like, take the opportunity to do, like, a shield wall and, like, show, like, a little bit more of those battle tactics that they used to have.
Like, the old men kind of had a little bit of united shields because they were all, like, green and black and stuff.
Yeah.
All the old men were, but like compared to everybody else,
Yeah, there weren't that many shields that I actually saw.
yeah, there weren't really.
Most
and
people. I did like seeing a lot more axes than swords.
Absolutely.
They kind of got that balance pretty spot on.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the fact that not a lot of people had shields and they just all just kind of like ran at each other. That and the size of the battle itself was like a little bit unrealistic, especially for a squabble between like
20,000?
2 chieftains or something.
20,000.
Yeah.
You can recognize 20,000 men. Yeah.
I don't know if that was 20,000, but
No, not even close. But yeah, absolutely. You know, and yeah, that's exactly the case.
And he never saw us coming.
Good.
Technically, he's not lying.
yeah, right.
Best kind of right. Technically right.
Yeah, I feel like that went about as well as
It could have.
Yeah.
Yep.
as well as we could have expected it to go.
Yep. I can't get over the dragon. Like, that's just over and done with.
I'm gonna be waiting for it to come back next episode.
It's not going to. I can pretty much guarantee you that's all we saw of the dragon. That's all we're going to see of the dragon. That's it.
It just seems like such a random side quest
Yep.
that you would undertake that just means absolutely nothing at the end of it.
Yep.
If they don't bring it back and have it do at least something.
They won't. They won't, because it's absurd. La 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 la.
Warm up that voice.
La 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 la.
Reaching the high notes and then going low.
We're good.
You sure?
Yeah.
You broke your voice enough.
We're good.
Thank you guys so much for watching and we hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified of our future videos. And we will see you in the next one.